Good afternoon and welcome. BOTSTEM is an Erasmus Plus project with partners in Spain, Sweden, Italy and Cyprus, with three main objectives, which are to improve the acquisition and competences in STEM subjects, to increase the quality and integration of long-life training aimed at teachers through virtual learning environments, and to improve the public image and perception of science and technology with an early intervention in STEM integrated with a gender-based approach. In order to achieve these objectives, we have developed a new methodology, gender-inclusive and STEM integrated with robotics and programming, fully in line with formal childhood and primary education curricula and its purposes. The material produced has been tested by preschool teachers in several schools in Spain, Sweden, Cyprus and Italy, with promising results. These materials are free and they are available at the BOTSTEM website as well as at Scientific's repository. These online conferences are the perfect ending for this project. Before introducing our guest speaker, we would like to remind you to write your name and country in the chat as a presence check. Thank you very much and enjoy the event. Buenas tardes y bienvenidos. BOTSTEM es un proyecto Erasmus Plus con socios en España, Suecia, Italia y Chipre que tiene tres objetivos principales. Mejorar la adquisición de competencias científico-técnicas en las disciplinas STEM, mejorar la calidad y la integración de la formación a lo largo de la vida dirigida a maestros y maestras a través de entornos virtuales de aprendizaje y optimizar la imagen pública y la percepción de la ciencia y de la tecnología con una intervención STEM con enfoque de género desde etapas iniciales. Para lograr estos objetivos hemos desarrollado una nueva metodología, inclusiva en cuestiones de género y STEM integrada con robótica y programación, totalmente en consonancia con los currículum de la escuela infantil y primaria y sus propósitos. El material producido ha sido probado por maestras y maestros de educación infantil en varias escuelas de España, Suecia, Chipre e Italia, con resultados prometedores. Estos materiales son gratuitos y están disponibles en la página web de BOTSTEM, así como en el repositorio de Scientific. Estas conferencias son el final perfecto para este proyecto. Antes de presentar a la persona invitada, nos gustaría recordarles que es preciso que escriban su nombre y país en el chat, para poder así controlar la asistencia. Muchas gracias y disfruten del evento.
Good afternoon. Today we are pleased to present Dr. Marta Romero Ariza with her talk about teachers and STEM. Marta Romero is an associate professor at the Department of Didactics of Science in the University of Jaén, especially interested in research about sustainable development, education, and how to enhance science learning using innovative approaches and technological resources. She has been actively engaged in several international projects, such as COMPAS, PRIMAS, MASILS, and Paris, among others, in the latter as the leader of the Spanish team. Welcome, Marta.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Ileana and Samuel and the BOTSTEM project for giving me this fantastic opportunity to meet you all. But this is a talk in coronavirus time, so I really miss your faces. I really miss the opportunity to read your body language, to interact with all of you. So I was thinking what we could do to build something together, at least to have a kind of overview of who is attending the conference, who we are as a group, and to get the opportunity to know each other. So I would like to invite you to click on the link in the chat and to fill in a very brief questionnaire. It will take just 1 minute to fill in, so we can build an overview of who we are as a group and what kind of background and experience we can share about the topic under discussion today, STEM education and teachers. So take your time And please give us your input through the questionnaire. And there is also other link, and the link is about kind of sharing our ideas. And if you would have to choose 3 words to characterize STEM education, which words would you choose? So give me 3 words that, from your perspective, really characterize STEM education. So afterwards, we can share our ideas and build this common image or overview of us as a group. So thank you. We are leaving the links on the chats, and we will start with the talk now. Before starting, I would like to give you a bit of a background about myself so you can understand where I come from and why I am where I am and why I'm passionate about STEM education. So I've always wanted to be a teacher since I was a little child. So I remember myself in a classroom listening to my teacher and thinking, maybe I was just 6 years old, and I was thinking, wow, I would explain that in this way. And my mother was a teacher, my grandfather was a teacher, but I grew up, and it turned out that I love philosophy, history, languages, arts. But according to my parents and my teachers, I was really good in mathematics and science. So finally, everyone encouraged me to choose a scientific career, and I became a chemist. And I really fell in love with chemistry because I found out that it was like magic. You can really change the nature of things. It was something fascinating for me. I did my PhD in organic chemistry. Actually, I spent almost 10 years researching in organic chemistry. I was looking for new natural products with interesting and useful biological properties for the human being. But when I had a postdoctoral position in collaboration with an international pharmacological company and the university, I got pregnant of my first daughter, and because I was dealing with, I was handling dangerous substances for the baby, I decided to give it up. So I stopped my scientific career there. I was a mother for more than 2 years. I had my first daughter, my second daughter, and when my second daughter was almost 1 year, I saw an advertisement of a position in science education at the University of Jaén. And I thought, wow, science education, what is it about? And when I found out that there were scientists, there were experts researching on how to enhance learning, how to facilitate and support learning, really understanding what are the learning processes and the learning obstacles, I thought, wow, this is fantastic. And researching in science education was like combining 2 of my main passions, science and teaching and learning. So I started in a new area in 2006. And I started eager to read, eager to learn, eager to travel, to meet experts and reference in the world. I was very lucky because I started to collaborate with experts in science and mathematics education, in STEM education from across Europe. So I had the chance to participate in different international projects, and these are privileged scenarios for really learning new perspectives and learning from other people who has a brilliant career in the area. So for me, it was like a springboard to this fascinating world of STEM education. So finally, I'm here. I work with teachers, with pre-service and in-service teachers, and my passion is trying to better understand what are the factors really supporting or hindering learning and finding effective ways to support teachers in improving teaching and learning in the classroom. So having said so, I don't know, well, maybe we can, before starting with the talk, we can have a look at how the questionnaire is doing. I don't know, maybe I have to stop sharing my screen here and to start sharing a different screen so you can have this overview I was looking for. Can you see the screen now? For the moment, we have 44 answers. So I can see that we have people from Spain, Italy, and other countries. And most of you have a different background, but there are many people from science, some people from mathematics, from computers, from technology. I can see that we have, for the moment, we have a majority of pre-service teachers, but 25% of us are in-service teachers. We have also colleagues, academics, and people from other sectors. And I can see that for most of you, STEM education is a kind of teaching approach rather than a subject with a specific nature. And some of you, 34% of you, have you implement STEM education in your classroom, which is fantastic. That's what I expected. And also, you have experienced STEM education as a student, which is also interesting. And when I ask you whether you could give a good example of a STEM education activity, I can see that half respond yes, the other half respond no. So thank you. Thank you. So let's try to share your 3 main words about STEM education. I'm going to try and share the other screen now. Yeah, give me 1 second. Share screen. I don't know whether, wow, that's beautiful. Can you see the word cloud now? We have 44 responses, and you see STEM education as technology. You know that words that appear bigger are the most frequent. They have been mentioned many times, more times. So you can see teamwork, technology, science, interdisciplinary, practice, problem solving. That's fantastic. So thank you for your participation, for your active participation. That's great. So after this initial exploration of ideas, now that we have this overview of who we are as a group and what kind of words are more important for us to describe STEM education, let's go back to the presentation. I'm going to stop sharing the screen now so I can share the presentation again. Thank you for your passion. Here we are. Although we are in coronavirus times, I have a view of you as a group. So thank you. So before starting talking about the STEM education and teachers, I would like to pose some questions to fuel our thoughts. What are the reasons for advocating STEM education? Are these reasons different from the reasons advocating other kind of teaching approaches, or are they similar? Is what we teach under the STEM education label significantly different from what we teach in the isolated disciplines? What do you think? I'm trying to encourage criticisms about the STEM education and deep reflection about what we do, what we really do, what is different, and what we plan to do, what are our priorities or objectives. What do we mean by STEM education? You have given me 3 keywords to describe it, but we can see a huge word cloud, a wide variety of terms. And what do teachers need to implement STEM education in a confident way? And last, do we have enough research evidence about the benefits of STEM education? Because, you know, it's a big change, it's a kind of shift. So changing teaching practices is a big effort. We should make sure that it's worthy. Do we have enough research evidence? So what we are going to do in this talk is we are going to try and address these questions, and maybe we will come back to them later on at the end of the presentation. So what I'm going to present is, I'm going to mention some reasons for advocating STEM education. Maybe you can think of other ones. I will try to provoke people to take a critical stance about what is STEM education and what are really aiming for. I will present our STEM education model, the kind of STEM education model I've been working with through several projects I will mention later on. I will also present the kind of model we use to support teachers to really implement this STEM education model. Then I will share some results about teachers and STEM education. I will mention some repositories where you can find classroom materials for STEM education, and I will finish with some final remarks. So let's start. So in relation to the first question, why STEM education? Why are the change of teaching practices? Well, maybe we could identify a wide variety of reasons, and if we try to classify them, we can distinguish between specific reasons and general reasons. So if we start by the specific reasons, well, you know, there is a claim that we need better scientists, better and more scientists and engineers to ensure that we keep on being competitive, we promote scientific and technological development. This is one of the arguments that has been highly criticized. There is also an argument about the different disciplines. If we think of science, mathematics, technology, and engineering, they share common ways of thinking and doing. And this we can find this approach even in the next generation science education standards, when they define cross-cutting concepts and common practice. So there are common ways of thinking and doing that justify somehow that you can learn about all these disciplines using a common approach. And also, there are arguments about what about those people who don't want to become scientists or engineers or to have to opt for a STEM career? What is it for them? Well, then there are arguments saying we need a STEM literacy because we live in a world deeply influenced by science and technology, and individuals need to understand the fundamental of scientific and technological applications and advances, and at least to be able to participate in social scientific debates or to make informed decisions. So all of these are arguments really pushing for revising the kind of education we are offering in the STEM field, and asking for a new approach that can really satisfy all these needs. And we can also find other arguments which are common to any claim for educational innovation, like educational demands have changed. We cannot place so much emphasis on knowledge acquisition, but we need critical thinkers, creative minds, people able to apply knowledge to complex situations, problem-solving skills, etc. Now we all know that there is an emphasis on competence-based education, which means the capacity to really apply knowledge in an effective way in real-life situations, and therefore we should revise teaching and learning and improve teaching and learning. But we have to be critical, because if we have a look at the literature, we can find thousands of proposals under the STEM education level, and we should think, are they really different from proposals for science education or for mathematics education or for technology education? So what is different? Is there a significant difference? And anyway, there is a need of clearly define what are the intended learning outcomes that justify this change in teaching practices, and what is the underlying theory and the pedagogical model. So after that, I would like to share with you the kind of STEM education model that we've been working with in several international projects I will mention later on. So we think that STEM education as an integrated approach comes naturally when we try to select contexts for learning that are authentic and realistic, because the natural world, we do not have a world for mathematics, a world for biology, a world for chemistry, but real problems needs interdisciplinary collaboration and to apply knowledge from very different disciplines. So if we really try to provide scenarios for learning that are more authentic, that are closely related to students' real life, then interdisciplinary will come in a natural way. So we are claiming for context-based learning. So we really emphasize the selection of scenarios and contexts that provide rich opportunities to apply knowledge, to make sense of knowledge, and then they bring this sense of authenticity and relevance to the learning process, and they really students can get hung up. Somehow it's a kind of cognitive and emotional hook, because they see the purpose and they see the meaning of what they are doing. And in this kind of approaches, you can really identify cross-disciplinary learning outcomes that are related to problem-solving skills, to critical thinking, creative thinking. They provide good opportunities for the development of competence and therefore competence-based education. And of course, they come with a student-centered pedagogy. So what I'm presenting here is quite general because they are just like keywords, but we are going, in the next slide, I will try to connect these key features with theories, some theories, so we can decide whether this kind of model is well-grounded in theory. So in the next slide, you can see that realistic context, interdisciplinary approach that comes with a meaningful integration of knowledge from different disciplines of subject. It's really connected to a traditional line of work in science education, which is known as context-based learning. So this theory comes from the assumption that context makes a huge impact in the nature and the quality of learning that takes place. It's not the same to learn how to drive a car by reading a book than by driving a car. So really, context has a huge impact in learning. So let's try to search for scenarios and context for education that provides learning with meaning and purpose. And if we have a look at the sense of authenticity and relevance and the cognitive and emotional hook of students, then we are in line with the current understanding of how individuals learn, the influence of emotions, and the importance of connecting ideas in some kind of mental structures. And if we have a look at the rest of the key features, student-centered, competent-based, cross-disciplinary learning outcomes, we can connect to different teaching approaches like project-based learning, inquiry-based learning, etc. In the particular case of our project, we use inquiry-based learning, where students ask their own questions, design experiments to test their own ideas, search for solutions, discuss with others, and try to solve particular problems and explain results. So, what about teachers? What do teachers need to implement this model? Could it be implemented in daily teaching? So what I'm going to do just now is to share with you our experience working with teachers, and the results I'm presenting this afternoon are related to the MASTIF project. And so I'm going to tell you something about how we work with teachers in this project. Teachers need resources, and it's important that these classroom materials, these resources are linked to curriculum, because most of you are teachers and you know that teachers are highly constrained by curriculum. So it's important to provide them with classroom materials that really fits the curriculum, and support them in fulfill all the intended objectives. They need a specific training, but also they need time to try out things in reality in their daily teaching, reflect back, share their experience in community. And we all know that communities of practice are really powerful. Community of practice made of teachers who share concerns and dreams and experiences and strategies, and they are together trying to try out new things and reflect in a critical way about whether it's worthy or not to make this kind of change. And here, what you can see now on the screen is our teacher professional development model. This is a very basic model, like the one I presented before, because it's a model that just shows key features. And there would be a deeper discussion about that, but I'm just trying to focus on the most important things. Anyway, it's a research-based model. What does it mean? That, you know, most of you are teachers, some of you are teacher educators, and you know that not any course, any training course for teachers has the same impact on teaching practices and teaching beliefs. It highly depends on how this course is designed. So let's have a look at research and see what kind of teacher training and teacher professional development really is transformative in the way of having a significant impact on teachers' practices and teachers' beliefs. So it's a kind of research-based model. So it starts from teachers' beliefs, concerns, and needs. It gives a space for co-design. We understand teacher professional development as a growing process where we have to rely on the mastery of teachers, because you bring a lot of experiences and years of experience with you. So it's a process of negotiation and co-design between different actors, people from research, but also other colleagues, in order to tailor material, to adapt to your particular conditions in your classroom. So co-design has an important place in the model. Also, it's really important, the continuous feedback. Essential, the transfer to practice, because you are not sure whether something works or not until you really try it out in your classroom. So the implementation is crucial for really trying out new things. And of course, the opportunity to reflect back, to share your experience with other colleagues, and to build a kind of communities of practice, community of learners. And this, well, the model I just presented is quite general, just key features in a cycle. So in order to be more concrete, there was a kind of a sequence of activities for teachers. I'm talking about teacher training and teacher professional development. In the course, we usually implement this kind of sequence. We start from concrete examples and scenarios with the teachers. So usually you give them a classroom activity or a scenario and encourage them to live it as a student, to get immersed in this kind of activity as a student. And after leaving that student from the role of students, we have a discussion about what can anyone learn from this situation? What kind of skills do you need to apply? What kind of knowledge? What different approaches can be used to solve this particular problem, etc. So teachers are given with the opportunity to experience and to explore classroom activities, STEM education classroom activities or materials that somehow resemble or represent the kind of model, STEM education model I presented before. I mean, they are classroom materials where you combine context-based learning, authentic scenarios, with opportunities to implement or to apply knowledge from different subjects to develop learning outcomes relevant for different subjects. And they are always activities with an inquiry approach. So the students have to ask questions, design strategies, try to explain the results, and search for solutions to a particular problem, etc. So let's come back to the sequence with the teachers. We start by providing them with concrete examples. Usually they are classroom activities and they are invited to live, to experience these activities as students, taking the role of students. Afterwards, they are invited to reflect about what can your student learn from this kind of activity. Afterwards, we encourage them either to use one of the activities, the examples we provided, or that are freely available in the repositories of the international project, or to adapt them to their classroom or co-design your own activity. So if one of the key features of the STEM education model is to bring into the classroom authenticity and try to provide realistic learning scenarios, so one of the things we advise teachers is have a look at the news, what is going on in your neighborhood, in your students' life, and use this situation to design your own STEM education activity, because in this way, really, your students will see the purpose of what they are doing. They are approaching a real situation, and in the meantime, they are learning and applying skills and knowledge. Teachers can either implement in their classroom already ready to be used classroom material from our repository, or to design their own. So we provide them with some kind of designing principles to fulfill the STEM education model I presented before, but to tailor it to their students' needs and interests, or what is going on in the neighborhood or in the news. It's essential to give them with the opportunity to implement these activities in the classroom, and afterwards to create spaces for discussion, for the exchange of experiences. There are sessions with teachers that are really interesting, because with one teacher bring to the teacher professional development session one experience implementing a particular activity, and they share with other colleagues the outcomes, the students' responses, the difficulties, and how, there is a really rich feedback from other colleagues, and many brilliant ideas come up. So creating these spaces for discussion and sharing are really, really enriching from the teacher professional development perspective. And it's a good way to build this kind of communities of practices or communities of learning. And so this sequence, represented by the outer cycles, are all around this kind of model that combine inquiry-based learning and context-based learning. In the particular case of the project, I'm going to share the results. There is also an emphasis in addressing diversity. And when I have a look at the BOTSTEM project, I can see also this emphasis on inclusion. And when we use this kind of teaching approaches that are open-ended, we have the opportunity to be more inclusive, because there are so many different ways that a particular exam activity can be approached by the students, that it's more easier to adapt to different talents and achievement levels. So all these approaches are really powerful for addressing diversity. So in this particular case of the project I will mention, or I'm going to present the results, there is a room for addressing diversity, both achievement-related diversity, but also cultural diversity. So now what I'm going to do is to share some concrete results from a teacher professional development course linked to the STEM education model I presented before and the teacher professional development that I mentioned. So these results refer to, well, actually we work with 102 teachers in an online version of the course, but also we have data from other courses that were held face-to-face. So we've been working with 50 teachers in face-to-face courses and with over 100 teachers in an online version of the course, of the teacher professional development course. And what did we measure to try to find out the efficiency or the efficiency of the action of the teacher professional development course? We measure teachers' self-efficacy, beliefs and practices related to the STEM education model, and we measure it through a questionnaire. The questionnaire is a 4-point Likert type questionnaires, and we use this questionnaire before the course and after the course, the teacher professional development course. That questionnaire has been validated both internationally and nationally in the Spanish version. We also did a systematic analysis of the feedback provided by the teachers, feedback through an open-ended question that asks, what do you value the most of the course? What did you find most interesting or most useful from the course? And we also conducted 3 case studies. So in relation to the case studies, we choose 3 different schools from different areas of the country. So there was a school from the center, close to Madrid, and there was other school on the west coast, and a 3rd school in the south, close to Cordoba. And we selected 3 teachers that differ in age, in gender, and personal background, but the 3 of them share a common motivation for improving STEM education. And what did we do to get some evidence about the impact or the effect of the teacher professional development course? We use different sources of information, and we engage different researchers to triangulate the information and to check consistency and coherence. So we analyze the lesson plans developed by the 3 teachers, the teachers' reflective notes. We also have 3 classroom observations involving 2 different researchers. We also have a teacher interview and students' questionnaire. So what I'm going to do now is to briefly present some results, trying to decide whether we have research evidence about the positive impact of this kind of STEM education teacher professional development. So here you can see the results from the questionnaire. The questionnaires we distributed before the course and the one we collected after the teacher professional development. So in blue color, you can see the average score from the pre-questionnaires of the whole sample of teachers. And in orange color, you can see the the score from the average score from the post questionnaire. So you can see that in the 3 dimensions, the first one deals with teachers' beliefs about STEM, about education in general, and STEM education in particular. The second dimension tries to measure self-efficacy, how confident teachers feel in implementing the model. And the third dimension has to do with the implementation of activities that resemble that somehow are connected to the STEM education model in the way of students design their own experiments, students test their ideas, they discuss with others, etc. So we can see that in the 3 dimensions, there is an increase. So we can see a positive impact in the 3 dimensions, in beliefs, practices, and self-efficacy. But these differences between the pre-test and the post-test are significant in the case of self-efficacy and practices. So we can conclude that there is a positive impact of the teacher professional development course on teachers' practices and beliefs related to the STEM education model, which provides some evidence that we somehow achieve our main objectives, that was to support teachers in implementing the STEM education model in their daily teaching. If we have a look at the kind of feedback that teachers provided, when they were asked, what do you value the most, or what did you find most interesting from the course, we can see that the majority really appreciate the opportunity to implement the materials into their daily teaching practices. So transfer to practice. 24% of teachers mention transfer to practice. Then 22% of the teachers said that they found the classroom materials, the resources useful. Also 20% of them mention the benefits for students' learning, which is one of the main driving forces for teachers to change their teaching practices. If they have some proof, they have some evidence that it's worthy from the point of view of students' learning. And we also got 80% of teachers who mentioned that the course was useful for supporting them in to really bring about a kind of methodological change, a change in their teaching practices. And 40% of the teachers highlight the opportunity to share experiences and ideas and resources with other teachers. I would like to stop a little bit and acknowledge all my colleagues, because this is the result of a collaborative work of a research team. So these results are from our research team, which so I would like to thank my colleagues, Ana Maria Gil, Antonio Quesada, Cristina Cobo, who are members of the team. Thank you for this hard work and for helping the community to get some evidence about whether it's worthy to work in this line. And if we have a look at the students, what happened with the students? Well, here you can see the average score of a group of students. You can see that out of 4 points in a 4-point Likert type scale, most of the averages, or most of the score is under 2.5, in some of them under 3 points out of 4. And the items goes like item, well, the item 1 is I have the opportunity to explore new topics by myself. That reflects students' perceptions of what was going on in the classroom when their teachers implement the STEM education activities. They felt that they were encouraged to work in an autonomous way, independently. They have the opportunity to choose by themselves what they wanted to learn about, to work about. They also receive feedback. So item 4 told me what I can do better, or item 5 informed about my progress is related to receiving constructive feedback and guidance from the teachers. They also have the opportunity to do practical activities, to discussing their own ideas with others. They also experience this kind of open approach where it's important to adapt to different levels of achievement and competencies and talents. So students are working in groups in an autonomous way, and the teachers go around and provide specific supports and different levels of supports depending on the group of students and what the students need. So it's a really powerful way to address diversity. They also were involved, they were involved in classroom debates. They have the chance to choose their own experiments and investigation. They were given opportunities to explain their own ideas, to define problem-solving strategies, and develop their own explanations, to do experiments and investigation, to test their own ideas, and to design their own investigation and experiments. You can see that through this questionnaire, we have a much more concrete idea of what kind of STEM education model we are talking about, because in the model I presented before, those key features are quite theoretical, quite general, but here through this statement, you can get an idea of what kind of activities I'm talking about. So here you can see also some quotations from one of the teachers. I think it's worthy to read it. The teacher said, "The implementation of the task in the classroom," he is referring to a STEM education task, "has been an inflection point in the story of my classroom." He was a teacher working with a low achievers group. At the marking point between before and after, it has changed the way the group communicates and interacts, and my relationship with them, enhancing empathy and complicity. Students felt value and could see their self-esteem increased. The experience made them find their space in the school. And there was also a nice reflection. The teacher said, well, one of the teachers said, what was most impacting from the course was to realize that STEM education was no longer a field for the most smart or capable. The first thing I got from the course is, as you demonstrated repeatedly with examples, that it's absolutely possible to teach STEM in a diverse classroom, achieving very good objectives for all. So at this point, I'm going to finish the presentation of research results, and very quickly, because we have 5 minutes left, I'm sorry, I'm going to mention some of the repositories of STEM education activities that are linked to the project where we got these results. Here you can see the website of the MASTIL project. MASTIL stands for Mathematics and Science for Life, and it combines context-based learning and inquiry-based learning. And there is something interesting in this repository, and it's that you have a search advance where you can sort out classroom materials, choosing different disciplines if you want an interdisciplinary classroom, or if you just want an emphasis on biology, physics, chemistry, mathematics. You can also select materials according to the student age. And you can choose duration, because usually teachers are concerned with time. So you can find activities that takes 10 minutes from long projects. And there is the possibility to select classroom material depending on the time required for the implementation. Also, I don't know whether you are familiar with the ICSE website. ICSE ICE is the International Center for STEM Education, and there you can find some of the projects of STEM education I've been working in the international project menu, but also in the slide I highlight materials, because if you click there, you can find an interesting initiative which is called the quarterly problem. And the quarterly problem is something that it has to do with classroom activities that are designed as STEM education activities and distributed freely across Europe. So teachers are invited to implement their activities in their own classroom and to share results afterwards. So there you can find also interesting proposals for STEM education. So I'm going to keep on because we are almost out of time. We are running out of time. But to finish, I would like to go back to the initial question to invite us to become quite critical when we analyze a proposal and really reflect on if what we are teaching is significantly different from other teaching proposal, and if is how we teach STEM different from other teaching approaches, what are the connections with the school curriculum, which is essential for teachers, what are the intended learning outcomes, how are we measuring these intended learning outcomes, do you have enough evidence of the benefits of students' learning, and to reflect on what do teachers need to implement this kind of approaches in a confident and safe way, and the importance of both classroom materials and resources, but also specific teacher professional development that equip teachers with strategies and resources to really bring about the intended teaching change. So that's all from my side. Thank you for your attention, and I will be very happy to respond to any question. And if we do not have time, you can contact me through email, and I will be very happy to respond to you. Thank you. Okay, so thank you, Jairo, for the question. You know, I've read some papers claiming that there is a need to find a balanced integration of different disciplines if you really want to place this STEM education level on a particular proposal. But I don't know whether it was clear enough. But for me, it's not important how much math, how much science, how much technology, how much engineering. But for me, the key point is to search for scenarios and context that really makes possible a meaningful integration. That's, for me, this is the key. Vale. There is a question in Spanish. I'm supposed to respond to it in English. Am I? Okay. So the question is, well, there are different questions posed by the same person. So the first one is, how would you define STEM education? For me, STEM education has to do with meaningful integration of different disciplines and with opportunities to develop learning outcomes that are relevant for different disciplines. That would be, for me, the key idea. And in relation to whether teachers with no previous training, whether different teachers were able to really get appropriate the model? Well, our experience is that teachers from very different backgrounds really make their own adaptation to the model and successfully implemented STEM education activities that were aligned with our model. And in relation to the early years, there I cannot respond because unfortunately I haven't implemented this approach with early years. So the teachers I've been working with are from the 6th grade. So I'm talking about students from 12 years old till 16, 18 years old. So I don't know whether, is there any other questions? I don't know whether I respond properly or if people feel satisfied. Do you need anything else?
Well, Marta, thank you so much for your very insightful talk. We have a lot of things in common, and although we are working, but STEM in fact is a project to work with STEM for early childhood, we have similar results, and that is quite interesting. I'm very grateful for you having given us this talk.
For me, it's been a real privilege and a great pleasure. So thank you for this opportunity. Let's keep in touch.
Bye-bye.